This is an underwater cannon. If you're looking for something that can slay a massive bluefin tuna, you're looking at it right here. This is the SpearPro inverted roller. This is in the 120 variant length. Let's go from butt to tip on this massive tuna killer. We're gonna go over the technical specifications of this spear gun first, and then I'll give you my first impressions. Let's get into it. This is the SpearPro Teak Deluxe Inverted Roller. It's an enclosed tracks roller spear gun made in 7 sizes, 70 centimeters all the way up to 130 centimeters. The body is 100% teak, a dense, oily hardwood that resists warping, cracking, and rotting in salt water. It's streamlined cuttlefish shape, cuts drag, multiple weight pockets let you adjust ballast and buoyancy. Because it's an inverted roller, it uses a pulley system to get power from bands all the way to your shaft. The inverted roller setup also keeps recoil low and shots flat. In this configuration, the bands are a 16 millimeter band. The shaft sits in an enclosed track that fits a 5/16 inch or a 11/32 inch Euro shaft. It also has a stainless steel trigger mech, real anchor points, and corrosion resistant components throughout. And a setup like this costs around $1,400. And with the technical specs out of the way, let me tell you what I think of this SpearPro inverted roller. A little bit of backstory. So SpearPro did send me this spear gun to test out, try out. I am giving it back, but I was out on a trip in Mexico and I never got to use this spear gun, or I never got to shoot this spear gun because yellowtail was the target and there were none around that day. And I didn't want to be shooting this into rocks going for some sheepheads. So I wasn't able to shoot it, but let me give you my first impressions of the general build and just the overall feel and ergonomics of this spear gun when handling this down in Baja. So this again is the SpearPro inverted roller. This is in the 120 variant. And let me give you a little background on myself before I start diving into my true opinions of this spear gun. Is that my experience with blue water fishing, very minimal, very, very minimal. So with that being said, I'm really looking at the kind of craftsmanship and just overall build of this spear gun. And you fill in the blanks. If you have been open water, blue water fishing more often than I have, which is probably a lot of you who have boats and been on a couple trips, let me know what you think. If you have any experience with this spear gun in particular or inverted rollers. But yeah, so let's get into it. I thought that it was important to share before I start diving into these things. But I have done a lot of spear gun reviews and I have a general feel of what would probably work well. But again, I don't know for sure when it comes to blue water. But overall construction wise, super, super solid. It has a really nice laminated feel to it. Depending on the brand, like Koa has a really nice laminated feel, but it feels very dense. Though sturdy, one of my spear guns I hope to review one day. But really nice finish from SpearPro. Really nice teak, has a really nice, I said really nice like 4 times, but it is really nice. Just a solid construction. This is my first impression. The enclosed track is my preferred kind of track setup, if you will, instead of the open track. My personal preference on how things shoot. So that's a huge plus for me. The biggest call outs, in my opinion, outside of the massive pulley system that this thing holds, is the attention to detail on the line management and the band management. I think that's really key, especially I would imagine if you're running something like this. So one thing that I want to call out is the line guide. So there's one, first off, kind of hard to see, but on the muzzle, there is a cavity or a valley where the line is guided out. It's guided back down, and there is a peg right here, which helps keep that line along the side of the spear gun, all the way to the back, to the line release, back to the front, and then back to this line guide here. This line hook, I don't know the exact name of this, but it's very sturdy. Everything I will say is very robust and sturdy. And I don't just it's hard to get on camera, but It's very thick, over-engineered or over thick, I guess, to hold up. Even the line guide is super dense. I don't know the exact measurements of that. I probably can get calipers to measure that, but everything feels very thick. Even the housing for the trigger mech, I can see the thickness of the metal is, the stainless is pretty dense. So like little things like that. So the line guide, how that's been thought out just makes me feel like this build is very thoughtful in how it's designed and how it's put together. Going along with that theme is the kicker bands right here. There is, again, it's hard to see on camera, but there's a slight indentation, like a cavity right along where the kicker bands go right before your first roller bands are anchored right here. And that's so the kicker bands sit really flush on top of that spear gun, which again, I think is a really, really nice touch. And then this call out, I think, is one of the biggest one. In my opinion, when I look at teak guns, I notice this the most. The way the trigger mech sits inside of the teak, super, super flush. But not only that, the edges are sanded really nicely and the laminate seems to be very even in those kind of tricky areas, in my opinion. I haven't built a teak gun before, so if you have, let me know if that's tough or not, but I just noticed that when I look at teak guns. So it sits super flush in there, cut out for the line guide. And yeah, everything feels robust and dense, like it's gonna last a while. So yeah, it feels really, really nice in the hand. The handle is a nice rubberized texture, not overly large. If you have larger hands, it's gonna fit you well. If you have smaller hands, I feel like it would still be a nice firm grip and you have good control. Everything is dense. Thick is with 3 C's is the name of the game. Look at that trigger. I don't know if you could tell on camera, but if you go look shopping for spear guns, like I'm looking at a handful of triggers right now. I see one of the Hermes double roller trigger mech and my Pathos. It is not this dense, but just feels very robust. Obviously, this is not your average spear gun. When I say average, I mean for most people, you're not getting something like this. Most people are probably refishing light blue water. This is a load up and you're gonna make sure the shot counts on a massive fish. So just overall first impressions, super solid. I was able to see it in the water and feel it when I was down in Baja. Really well ballasted. I love the option that you can adjust your ballasting with these plates right here. Stainless steel plates, 2 screws, pop it off, adjust the weights if you need to. So you have a spot here. There's 2, there's one right here, right behind the pulleys. And then there's one kind of hidden in this forest of rubber. Yes, I know if you store the spear gun or if you're not loading it, you're not supposed to have these rubbers on the anchors, but I'm doing it because it looks more flush. But normally it's gonna be looking something like this when you're about to load. But yeah, there's one right in there as well. So it's very thoughtful placements, very adjustable. If you're changing out your shaft, things like that, you have that option and it's there. Here's a quick overview. If you're not familiar with inverted rollers, just for your curiosity, it looks very complicated. And I would say, I mean, compared to most spear guns, it is, but the operations of it are not too bad. So your primary band, this one right here. So it's an inverted roller. So that means there's a roller mechanism and it's backwards. So normally if you have a roller spear gun, you have it up here, which you might see, hey, those are rollers, right? I mean, technically, but the roller part is back here where the rubbers are. So anchors here, all the way down the barrel towards the back. Rubber wraps around the rollers like this. Backside, rubber goes through and then ultimately connects to this pulley system. And this pulley system connects to some line here. So once you're ready to load, you're gonna undo, you're not gonna have these guys loaded just yet. These are 3 separate sets of bands. So 1, 2, and then 3. And this top one is a kicker. This goes on at the end for a little added acceleration. So once I have that rubber going, just like a regular roller gun with a kicker, you're gonna put your hand through the kicker band and up here, You're gonna pull and then line this up to your first shark fin. You can see that moving there. So you see that movement, you're gonna load that up in the water, of course, to your first shark fin, and then ultimately back here to one of the rear shark fins. And once you have that loaded, you're gonna flip the gun over and just imagine this mechanism is now way up here. And now you have 3 sets of bands you gotta load. I would load them center first. So now it's inverted. And again, imagine this set of bands is way up top. So you're gonna pull the bands like you would in a conventional spear gun, pull this all the way back, anchor it on that center anchor, do the same thing for the flanking bands as well. So once that's loaded, then you flip it around and now you're gonna do your kicker. So imagine it's all loaded, the bands underneath are stretched all the way back to the anchors, and then now with the kicker, this is the last bit. You're gonna pull this back, load it in a back shark fin, and this will help your spear get a little acceleration out of the jump, so you have a little bit more power. But that's how inverted one works, inverted roller spear gun works. Super short tutorial. But again, super solid. If you're looking for a big boy fish gun, consider this. This is the SpearPro inverted roller. This is in the 120 variant. They have a couple other lengths as well. Check it out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.